Greetings, everybody. This is Leviathan here, and today the name of the game is bounty farming. As you should know by now, Season 15 is a season with a theme, and that theme is the Boon of the Horadrim, which equals double Horadric Caches. So that means every time that you get a Horadric Cache from clearing one of these acts of their bounties, you'll get double. And that means you're probably going to want a really nice bounty farming build to get that done. By far, the definitive best class for this is the Demon Hunter with this build that I'm going to give you the ins and outs of, because man, they just cruise through the bounties. Very high mobility, very high damage output, everything that you want in a bounty farmer. And they can also kill bosses quickly too, when set up correctly, which we will tell you exactly how to do that. So any links that will reference things that you need to know about, I did the Season 15 overview a couple of days ago here on the channel. That'll be in the video description. The written version of this guide, which is on Diablo fans, will also be in the video description. So in case you don't want to watch a full video or don't need the full explanation, just want to see the highlights on the video on the written guide, you can go and check that out. I also did a D3 planner that will show you all the different affixes and everything you need to know. It goes into great detail as to how we put the build together. So hopefully you're into that kind of thing, and that is what you'll be getting out of this lovely guide that we're putting together. So I just wanted to, this is some footage from doing bounties, split T13 bounties in Season 14, one weekend ago or so. Just wanted to have some of that on screen to show you just how crazy things can get. The speed is just ridiculous. So that's something you can look forward to. And for now, we'll go ahead and flip into the build guide portion of this video here. So as I mentioned, this is the written version of the guide. It's over on Diablo fans. It's got everything you need, a short overview of kind of the gear and the selections and the skills, and then a lot of written words here to help you out. One of the things that's kind of cool about this build, this is the video guide that's coming. One of the things that's cool about this build is that there are some decent choices. You can actually mix and match some things and make choices based on how you like to play. So that is something to keep in mind. But we're going to just show you the version that I like to use, or a version of what I like to use. This is very offensive, so it's definitely more oriented towards softcore. For hardcore, we'll talk about a few things you can do to kind of spruce up the defense, because I was playing a little bit of a different version even in the video that I showed you. But let's start with the basics in terms of what is the Unhallowed Essence set. It is a set based mainly around Multishot and having a high amount of discipline so that you can power your skills. So the main thing you really need to care about is the 6-piece set bonus, which makes it so that your generators, Multishot, and Vengeance deal 100% increased damage for every point of discipline you have. And there are a few places that you can get max discipline rolls. That would be your chest, your quiver, and your bow. And yeah, these aren't my items, by the way. This is just D3 planner for those of you that don't know, because last time I did this, everyone's like, how do you have full primals in every item? You can create any item you want on D3 planner to essentially have a theoretical best character and see what it would look like and tinker with numbers. So just to put that out there. But in any case, yes, these are the slots where you can get max discipline as a secondary, and you want that because it'll boost up the damage output you can do. And then also one of the skills that we utilize is preparation with invigoration, which gives you a maximum discipline of 20 and also helps you replenish your discipline when you click it. So that's another great way to boost up your damage in this build. So Unhallowed Essence set, it's the free set that we get for Season 15 as well. So all the synergy is just working together here. It's going to be great if you decide to start with a Demon Hunter this season. You'll be off running all the bounties in the world as soon as you want. Plus the set in general is just really good. Great for regular rifts, great for your speed greater rifts, and great for pushing that solo greater rift content for Demon Hunters. Alright, so the other items that we utilize besides 5 pieces of the set, and you can see we have a Ring of Royal Grandeur in our cube, and that's to make sure that we can use another piece that is not a set piece in a slot that might overlap. So we have the Pride's Fall. This helm is an Act 3 bounty only item, so funny enough, a bounty item helping us with bounties. But it has a really great power in that it reduces our resource cost by 30% when we don't take damage for 5 seconds. So because you're a range build, because you're multi-shotting, you should kill everything before it ever gets to you. A stray projectile might hit you and knock this buff off, but for the most part you should have very high percent uptime on this, which means you'll have a ton of reduced resources when you're utilizing this, and that means you'll get to vault a lot more, you'll get to multi-shot a lot more without having to worry about hitting your generator and such. So it really smooths out your movement and your ability to do damage. Another item that's in the same vein is the Crumb's Buff Belt. You get a 25% increase to your movement speed that takes you over the cap of 25, and you lose the effect after you take damage. So again, it's the whole idea of you shouldn't really ever take damage since you're going to be so overpowered and killing everything in these T13 split bounty games. So you'll always have that movement speed buff, you'll always have that resource cost reduction. It's really great. We do have another set that we're utilizing, the Focus and Restraint set. And this is to give us a little bit more oomph, especially early in the season. You might not have enough power to, move away from these rings. Potentially you could look to go with like a Stone of Jordan and an Avarice band. But ideally you still want to stick with Focus and Restraint, because especially if you have to go kill the bosses, and it does get a little sketchy to kill the bosses because you don't have great defense, like I mentioned. Especially in those instances, even if we're using a gold wrap, most bosses don't have gold there for you to pick up, so your defense will be as low as possible. But if you're really powerful, you can usually kill the bosses before they become a threat to you. And Focus and Restraint is just going to help with that. You hit your generator, then you just multi-shot until they die. A nice big multiplier to your damage here. As far as the itemization of them go, I'm doing attack speed, critical hit damage, critical hit chance, and the reason I'm going with attack speed is because it actually helps a few things. It helps your multi-shots hit a new breakpoint in terms of being able to spread those out faster, shoot those out faster, and then it also makes your vault much snappier. There's an animation to vaulting, and the more attack speed you have, you ever notice that you put a one-hand crossbow on, you vault kind of snappier than if you were to have a crossbow, a two-handed crossbow. So, I mean, you can just try that in town and see the difference. That's kind of why attack speed matters in terms of vaulting. So having more attack speed allows you to vault a little snappier, and it feels really good. So that's why we go with that in both of those. We did just kind of glance over the UE pieces. The affix situation for them is mostly normal. There are a few places that make some different things happen. So resource cost reduction, again, is just this thing that we're trying to get as much of as possible, because the more we can reduce our resources, then the more we'll never be at a deficit of power and ability to move through the bounties. Because bounties are all about covering space, right? You want to be able to move through the zones as quickly as possible and always have high power so you can kill everything. So here, instead of a vit roll, which would normally be there, I went for a resource cost reduction roll. So that is something to keep an eye out for. Interesting shoulders that work primarily for bounties. And then of course with your CDR, the magic number here is 37%. That is what you will need on your sheet when you have a Dawn in the cube in order to have 100% uptime on your Vengeance. So that means you're going to have a flawless Royal Diamond in the helm, maxed out cooldown reduction in Paragon, and then, like I mentioned, CDR on gear, and that's 3 pieces that you need it on in order to complete that 37% on the sheet. So usually I go for it on shoulders, on the gloves, and you can see here on gloves we also went for a resource cost reduction roll, and on the quiver you can get another CDR roll here too. As far as Dead Man's Legacy goes, it's obviously great synergy with Multishot. That's what it's there for. Again, another spot to make sure you have the discipline, max discipline as your secondary, and the itemization for it is pretty standard. Dex always comes with attack speed, always comes with critical hit chance, and hopefully you can get lucky enough to get CDR and Multishot on there. And then a nice percent on the legendary power. 200% is the max. It can range from 150 to 200%, so definitely get as close to 200% as possible. We can go ahead and take a look at the Yang's recurve here as well. And this one again is something pretty standard. A primal one would be awesome because then you don't have to worry too much about your numbers. It is again another item where you can get discipline as a secondary, so keep an eye out for that. It also has a legendary range power, so 150 to 200% on the bow as well. Aim for that 200% side. And then as far as the actual fixes go, percent damage going to be great. You can keep the dex roll, and then having attack speed, again, the synergy of being able to fire off multi-shots faster, be able to vault to zoom, zoom, zoom faster, and then the 50% resource cost is actually really huge here too. I don't know if I've hammered it in enough yet, but resource cost reduction is so good when it comes to bounties. So obviously you want to aim, I think this can range from 40 to 50% naturally, and you can even get a double roll with another RCR on your bow. That's not as important because it would only take it up to 55%. So just aim for the natural 50% side of the resource cost reduction that comes there, and you should be good to go. I also forgot to mention, but was going to get around to it anyways, that the other item in our cube is the Cinder Coat. And the reason that we have that is, hey, resource cost reduction, right? We're using Trail of Cinders on our Vault as the rune, so it's a fire vault now, which then lets it benefit from Cinder Coat. And then, of course, Multishot, we're using Arsenal, and that's a fire rune, so this is also going to reduce the cost of that. So these skills just become insanely cheap when all these resource cost reductions are coming together for us. Just absolutely wonderful. And the only two pieces I haven't talked about yet are the bracers, which would be Warzikian arm guards. Multishot hits everything on the screen essentially, and that means breakables will be hit as well too. Barrels, tombstones, walls, doors, all sorts of things you'll hit and break. So you'll always be benefiting likely from having this legendary power available to you. I believe it's a 50% movement speed increase. Doesn't actually say in the power, which is kind of weird, but it's a really significant one, and definitely, I would say, best in slot bracers. But you could also think of going with maybe Nemesis bracers if you want more elites while you're doing your runs of bounties, because you will come across plenty of shrines, and that also makes a consideration available for the gloves of worship. You can potentially try to work those in too, just to benefit from shrines for longer. Because imagine if you get early on a fleeting shrine or a frenzy shrine or an empowered shrine, then you've got more movement speed, more attack speed, and more cooldown reduction respectively on those shrines, and that could help a lot. Plus the pickup radius from fleeting would be really convenient too. And last but not least, Hellfire Amulet. You know, these are going to be super hard to get really good ones of. They don't even have to be super great. Just trying to get maybe like critical hit damage, critical hit chance. The fire would be nice there too, but sometimes just end up with, you know, dex crit. As far as the passive on this goes, they're all interchangeable. There's basically 5 passives that you're after. Hot Pursuit, Tactical Advantage, Blood Vengeance, Ambush, and Ballistics. Ballistics is there to help us kill bosses faster, single target situations. Ambush just to, you know, hopefully one-shot most of the things that you're going to be hitting. Blood Vengeance, when you do pick up orbs, health globes and stuff, going to give you some more resources back. That's one that's definitely able to be changed around, especially if you find that your pickup radius isn't that great. Since we're not using an Avarice band in this build, then maybe you skip Blood Vengeance, put your Cheat Death back in, you know, take Awareness and put that back in, especially on Hardcore as a consideration. You're definitely always going with Tactical Advantage because it's a great movement speed buff after you use your Volt. And then Hot Pursuit, again, is a nice one too. Gives you more movement speed as well. So if you can work that in, you should. As you can see, emeralds in our gear as far as the chest and the pants go. If you do need more defense, feel free to swap these to diamonds. That can help out a lot. Another consideration because of the gems, which I'm about to discuss, we are using a Boon of the Hoarder. So if, again, you feel like your defense is kind of sketch, maybe you want to go with a gold wrap, because that's a classic scenario where you have the Boon of the Hoarder, gold wrap. Essentially, as long as you keep picking up gold, you have infinite defense. Usually an Avarice band is also thrown in there so that you're never missing a gold to pick up and just always increasing that defense. You know, it's you're going to have to make sacrifices if you pick up any of these extra options. It'll move away from being like the most optimal version of the build, but it could be a safer version of the build. And do remember that dying, obviously even in softcore, is still a setback because it just slows you down. So you'd rather not die. So definitely straddle that line of moving quickly, killing quickly, and also staying alive. In hardcore, you get a big setback if you die. Other gems, the Zystone of Vengeance, a very classic staple when it comes to multi-shot. You're standing far away, therefore you're going to get great benefit from Zystone of Vengeance. And then this Gogok of Swiftness is an interesting choice. I was put onto this by SVR. I want to give him credit for it because it synergizes pretty nicely when you're doing speed running for Demon Hunters and you have power to the point where you don't feel like you need an extra DPS gem. So if you're not going to be needing, you know, like a Bane of the Powerful, or if you're not using slows in order to benefit from a Bane of the Trapped, then Gogok is actually interesting because you will be stacking it up as you fire off your multi-shots. You're going to be getting extra attack speed, extra CDR, and some dodge chance. So like, you know, maybe something might kill you, but you dodge it. But the things that are interesting, again, are the attack speed. So now, again, you have more ability to get to faster breakpoints for multi-shot, and also to help you get those vaults off faster with the animation. And then with CDR, it actually will allow you to have even higher uptime on clicking preparation when you need to replenish your discipline, and also on Wolf, because that's the companion that we utilize in the build. And, you know, just being able to have more damage if you need it is really great. But another thing to consider too is if your character gets so powerful, which it will once you get to higher Paragon levels. I'm simulating a 800 Paragon level character in this scenario, in this setup. But once you get higher Paragon, and especially once you augment your gear, like this doesn't consider any augmentation or any of that, then you're going to have a lot of power for just T13 content, even with split farming. So you can start to shed some things like Companion with Wolf, or if you were using Bane of the Powerful, then, you know, swap over to Gogok of Swiftness. And that way you'll be able to add more utility. You might change the Wolf or the Bat to get more Hatred regen, even swap in something like Shadow Power, Shadow Glide for more movement speed. Those are kind of the things that you have available to you. And that's really the build in a nutshell. I actually do plan to make a video to talk about kind of the best practices for bounties, how to complete them quickly. You know, maybe you can set up a group that everyone works together and does them, you know, once a week or something like that. I imagine that bounties should be pretty plentiful in terms of finding groups this season, since a lot of people will be focusing on them. But there definitely are some do's and don'ts to getting bounties done quickly. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I went over a lot here. There's definitely some awesomeness when it comes to this UE setup. I love it so much, man. I actually really personally enjoy farming bounties quite a bit, so I'm down to talk about it. Feel free to hop into the comments section. Let me know what you think about the build if you decide to try it. If you have any questions about it, or come up with any additions or changes that you decide to go for, I do want to hear about it and know about it. And don't forget to follow on Twitch, twitch.tv/Leviathan111. I'll be kicking off my season start this coming Friday, September 21st, when Season 15 goes live at 8 p.m. Eastern here in the Americas, 5 p.m. Pacific, so on and so forth. I'll have a 4-player party, so come and join me for that. Should be going all weekend long. It's going to be awesome. You know, I just love it, man. And then make sure to also subscribe to the channel, because we will have tons of videos that come out as we get news on future Diablo content. BlizzCon is coming, as I come up with more builds that I want to put together, and any news and highlights and things I want to bring you guys. You don't want to miss another video ever again, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. And again, video links, all sorts of stuff in the video description. See you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you very much, and adios for now.